Prince Harry is laying it all out, sparing nobody in his memoir that leaked overnight. Among the revelations here, there is that Prince Harry once believed Diana faked her own death to escape press, that King Charles didn't hug Prince Harry after Diana died in a car crash, that Prince Harry urged William urged King Charles not to marry the person they called their wicked stepmother, Camilla. Prince Harry says he was upset when Camilla turned his bedroom into her dressing room. King Charles made sadistic jokes about Prince Harry's real dad, being James Hewitt, and Prince Harry admits he did cocaine as a teenager. Prince Harry also claims that Kate Middleton told him to wear the infamous Nazi costume. He reveals he killed 25 Taliban fighters in Afghanistan like chess pieces on a board. Prince Harry also claims that Prince William recoiled from Meghan Markle's hug and said William physically attacked him in a fight over Meghan. He also details his most intimate moments, including the night he became a man and the alarming personal body part where he got frostbite.
Is that all, Charles? Any more?
There's lots in here, but that's a good start.
Are you keeping up at home? Well, joining us now to break it all down is royal expert Camilla Tominey. Camilla, we needed a few minutes just to digest all of that. What is your reaction when all of this came out?
Well, I can see you both slightly cringing over there, sort of wondering how on earth it came to this, that we are being subjected to such intimate details, not only of Harry's lives, but also the lives of his so-called nearest and dearest. I mean, you've laid out the revelations there pretty well, Charles. It's kind of 420 pages of unadulterated revelation, from kind of the red meat that you mentioned there of him having killed 25 Afghans to really quite infantile at times and petty details involving different spats that he's had with different members of the family. But can you believe that before this book was published, people thought that Netflix was going to be the biggest problem facing the royals? But I would humbly suggest that this is far more explosive and far more sensational.
And to add to all of this drama, it was all revealed because the book went on sale in Spain. So this all had to be translated from Spanish in the first place. I mean, are there any more twists that we aren't seeing coming?
I think you've pretty much covered everything there. Yeah, we've had this strange situation where we've been having to translate from Spanish into English exactly what is in this book. I don't think the publisher's too happy about any of the media having got their hands on it, because obviously it is being kept a closely guarded secret until its official day of publication, which is January the 10th. But every detail's been poured over. I suppose the question that remains is where it leaves royal relations. I mean, some of the revelations, as you mentioned there, about how both of the princes didn't want Charles to marry Camilla, just wanted them to continue, I guess, going out for the rest of their lives. These revelations, particularly about William and Kate, you mentioned there Charles blaming them for his decision to wear the Nazi uniform in 2005, talking about rows between Kate and Meghan. So obviously we know about bridesmaid dresses. He also mentions the row over tiaras. There's then a suggestion that Kate made Meghan apologise because Meghan had suggested that she might be suffering from baby brain after she gave birth to Prince Louis. Harry goes into great detail about talking about this meeting that they had at Kate and William's Kensington Palace apartment, where apparently, according to Harry, Kate took umbrage at this suggestion that Meghan was discussing her hormones, saying that they weren't close enough to each other for that. He then claims that William says that it was rude and too personal and not the way we do things in Britain, to which Meghan apparently replied to her brother-in-law, who at that point had started pointing at her, "Take your finger out of my face." So, I mean, no detail is left undiscussed in this memoir.
I mean, this is so much personal detail, so much private detail that Harry is going into. Do you think this is a lot of oversharing? That, I don't know, I'm hearing all this and I'm thinking I shouldn't be reading this.
Well, of course. And what makes it all the more ironic is the fact that it's Harry that keeps on banging on about protecting his royal privacy, and the idea that the media have been carrying out a feeding frenzy on the back of royal stories. Well, he's providing the media and indeed the tabloids that he so loves to hate with an absolute veritable platter of information, isn't he? I mean, talk about feeding the beast and then some.
In the old days, the king would just have his son thrown in the Tower of London. Now, thankfully, that doesn't still happen. But how does this resolve itself? And is there any chance that Harry is back in London for the coronation later this year?
Well, look, I think the royals seem reasonable if they continue to extend the arm of familial friendship to the couple, despite all that's been said and done. The king is still insisting that they are invited to the coronation. Whether they take up that invitation remains to be seen. But actually, this dignified silence from the palace, this never complain, never explain mantra that was exemplified by the late Queen Elizabeth, seems to be serving them quite well. I mean, the more Harry speaks, the less popular he seems to be in this country anyway. I appreciate the couple have got a strong following in the US. I don't know how Australians feel about it, but actually, by comparison, by simply saying nothing, the palace doesn't seem to be faring too badly right now. It is a fascinating story that the world really can't turn away from, and it looks like we're going to get more and more of it.
It's like a car crash, though. It's you just don't want to look. But I don't know where it all ends. I thought nothing more could come out after Netflix. And anyway, wasn't I wrong?
A whole lot more came out.
Thanks, Camilla.
Thanks so much.
Royal editor of the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers, joins us live now. Russell, it is hard to know where to begin. What is your reaction to this leaked book?
Well, I think you've just said it. I don't really know where to begin because we've been very, very busy today. Obviously, it went on sale in Spain. We've managed to get hold of a copy and it does not miss. I mean, Harry, over 557 pages, absolutely brutalises every single member of his family. He labels William a bully, says he manhandled him, causing him to fall to the floor, says that William and Kate were the architects behind him choosing to wear a Nazi costume back in 2005, says Camilla was a wicked stepmother, his father an old man, admissions of taking cocaine. I mean, I could go on and on. It really is extraordinary and as explosive as we imagined.
Yeah, and he's really taken aim at William, not only with that Nazi costume, saying that him and Kate both howled with laughter when he first suggested wearing it, but he's also labelled him his arch nemesis. Now, I know I asked you before this bombshell whether their relationship could be salvaged, but what do you think now?
Well, I think that allegation, putting it on them. I mean, he was 20 years old when he decided to wear that Nazi uniform to a fancy dress party. But by saying that William and Kate howled with laughter, they thought it was hilarious that he was going to be wearing this costume. Very, very damaging for them indeed. Both, supporters of the Holocaust Memorial Fund. They've done fantastic work with mental health as well. And I just think it's a really wide of the mark. I mean, a lot of people suggesting to me today that this will be the final nail in the coffin. I mean, I think we've said that a few times with Harry and his relations, but this surely must be the end of any reconciliation now.
One of the things I found so surprising was when he admitted that he believed his mother, Diana, had faked her own death to escape the press. That's a really sad revelation, isn't it?
Yeah, so many. I mean, there is a vein of sadness and real despair throughout this book. I mean, they're talking about the conspiracy theories, the fact that he'd seen a clairvoyant who'd managed to speak to his mother from the afterlife. He'd travelled down the Parisian tunnel that she travelled to her death in when he was only, I think, about 20 years old. I mean, this is things that have haunted Harry for his entire life, and he's never really been able to pull himself out of the mould of the institution. And there were such high hopes when he met Meghan, and he's had a family of his own, and yet he's still so tortured by them. You can just see that in the words on these pages and the interviews he's given. And it's a particular feeling of sadness I got from this book.
He also reveals that he begged his father not to marry his evil stepmother Camilla, and he said that the king also frequently made sadistic jokes over his paternity. I mean, this is a lot to take in, isn't it?
Well, you're telling me. I mean, I've been trying to go through it all day, and there's page after page of allegations and claims, and the response from the palace has been deafening. There has been absolutely nothing from them. I mean, those pointed attacks about Charles, suggesting he was joking that, what if I wasn't your father? The allegations of Diana having an affair with James Hewitt had been all over the papers, and these aren't particularly funny in any way, shape or form, and you can understand why Harry would have felt personally aggrieved by them. But listen, I don't think we'll hear from the royals themselves. They've maintained a somewhat dignified silence, as damaging as these allegations are. But again, I don't think we've heard the last of it, because we're still going through it, and I think that Harry and Meghan will still have more to say.
He's gone into a lot of intimate personal details in this book, and I think something that a lot of people will struggle with is that he's been so outspoken about his privacy and the invasion of privacy. So a lot of people are going to struggle with this, aren't they? Because he's revealing just so much in the book in terms of those personal, intimate details.
Well, that's just precisely it. And he was questioned by one of the journalists who has done one of the TV interviews that will be airing on Sunday night here in the UK. Well, isn't it hypocrisy that he's absolutely running roughshod over his family's privacy? He's basically done the cardinal sin of revealing their most intimate private conversations, and yet here he is constantly bemoaning the fact that his privacy has been tarnished. And I think that's a pretty sticky wicket for Harry to get away from, because he has said that their silence is not the way to progress the relationship, and yet here he is once again speaking for bundles and bundles of cash. It doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, there is a lot to go through, and we do appreciate you breaking it all down for us. Russell, thanks for your time.
Joining us with more, royal biographer Tom Bauer. Tom, good evening to you, London time. There is so much in this book for us to cover. What caught your eye?
Well, clearly the fight between Harry and William is extraordinary. The admission he took cocaine, the claim that he killed exactly 25 Taliban, the extraordinary attack on Camilla. I mean, it is endless. And but also the admission that Meghan had insulted Kate by saying that she had the brains of a baby, and also the extraordinary statement that at the day of his birth, his father had told Diana, who had just not recovered yet, that she had now performed her task and he was disappearing. And later said to Harry that perhaps he wasn't his own father. I mean, it is endless. I mean, Random House have got their money's worth here, and the ghostwriter has contrived the most astonishing feat of bombshell after bombshell. But whether it's true or not, we don't know.
Well, speaking of bombshell, he also revealed he urged Charles not to marry Camilla, and that was both him and William because they feared that Camilla would become the wicked stepmother. I mean, how do you think Charles is going to take that news?
Well, he knows that. I mean, that I revealed some years ago in a biography of Charles. I mean, Camilla clearly was the wicked witch because she was the third person in the marriage that Diana spoke about. So that went without saying. And all the attempts that the palace made to suggest that Camilla got on well with William and Harry were totally untrue. I think that is really not one of the most important revelations. The real attack here is on William and the allegation that he looked at William and saw that he was balding very rapidly, losing his looks, losing his appearance similar to his mother. That is really vicious. That is really nasty. This is a book which is filled with hatred. And I don't think Harry had that hatred before he met Meghan. I think Meghan, as my book Revenge shows, has actually stoked it all up. She's an agent of destruction. And, you know, my book Revenge is really the accurate reflection of what has happened today. This is the revenge of Harry. Meghan had her revenge in the Netflix and Oprah interviews. There's one attack on the royal family after another. They are maintaining what they call dignified silence. I think they can't do that for long. And in the end, the alleged victims in California are really the aggressors. And the casualty is not only the royal family, but Britain's reputation across the world.
But Tom, you say it's a book filled with hatred. I mean, if any of this is true, it's a family that's got a fair bit of hatred ingrained as well. We appreciate your time this morning and trying to get to the bottom. But as you said, you know, when will it end is the biggest question of all. Thank you.